It's time for the Lakefront Living Realty radio show on News Talk KRMS. Lakefront Living Realty is Missouri's only real estate firm focused solely on lakefront and lake access properties, changing lives one lake house at a time. So let's talk the waterfront lifestyle. Please welcome owner-broker Annie Faulstich and her guests for today's program.
Welcome to the Lakefront Living Real Estate Show, your trusted guide to buying and selling property at Lake of the Ozarks, where every day is a lake day. I'm Annie Faulstich, owner-broker of Lakefront Living Realty, Missouri's only exclusive lakefront lake access brokerage, where we're changing lives one lake house at a time. Welcome back. I hope everyone had a wonderful and safe holiday weekend. Contrary to past belief, Labor Day does not mean it's time to winterize your boat or lock up the cabin. Lake of the Ozarks in the fall is a lot of our tourists and full-timers' favorite season. So keep out your white pants and keep the dock ready to roll. Things of the past are no longer rules of today. Fall at Lake of the Ozarks continues to host many festivals: Apple, Turkey, Hillbilly. There's Bike Fest, Fall Harbor Hop, Hot Summer Nights Car Show, several large concerts, Art Fest, and the In-Water Boat Show also, to name only a few. Always check out funlake.com or our friends at lakeexpo.com for their calendar of events to get the weekly schedule. They've got updated schedules on there, and honestly, there is something to do every weekend through the fall, so you'll have something fun to plan for the whole family all season long. I will, of course, not forget to mention my favorite fall activity. Yep, still boating. Grab your hoodie and head out on the water. The crowds are going to be gone, so the water is perfect. Almost all of the water restaurants and bars now, they stay open at least through Fall Harbor Hop, which is typically, I think it's mid-October, October 12th. But some now staying open even later and or year-round. The fall foliage is something not imitated anywhere else than on the water. So definitely keep the boat out and get out on the water this fall. I spoke in past weeks regarding fall also being a busy time for real estate. If you missed any of the previous episodes, always remember you can catch them the following week or any time after on our YouTube channel, Lakefront Living Realty, Missouri. I gave some stats that seem to surprise most. We have nearly the same amount of transactions for lakefront property in the fall as we do in the spring. If you are considering selling but thought that you might have to wait until spring for any of the buyers, right now is the time to think again and actually contact a lakefront specialist. I gave those stats. This spring of last year, we had closed 517 units, and then in the fall, we were close to 496. So honestly, those were really close numbers for both the spring and the fall. So definitely don't wait for that. Each week, I like to talk about topics that typically affect both buyers and sellers, giving you, the listeners, answers to your most common questions. I will always continue to ask you to call the office or myself directly anytime with any further questions you may have on, one of the shows that you've heard in the past, or of course the current show, or if there's someone or any certain topic that you would like us to cover. It's truly important to me to be bringing you valuable information on buying and selling lakefront or lake access property, as well as knowledge on the current real estate market. So I will continue to bring in area experts in many fields to cover an array of topics, issues, and questions. So please do not ever hesitate to reach out with any questions or comments. You can reach the office, my cell, or always reach us at lakefrontliving.com. Again, my office number, 573-693-1613, or my direct cell phone anytime, 573-216-4350. Today I want to discuss a broad topic of remodeling and or home addition expansions. This is an area that comes up quite often in lakefront home selling and even more in the buying side. Today I have James O'Neill, Sales and Marketing with Otto Construction, in the studio to answer some questions regarding major home remodel and renovations. So stick with us through the show. I know he will have some great information to share with us. Well, let me start with sellers. James may tell me different later in the show, but I do personally feel if the home is in need of a major remodel, doing it to sell the listing and or make money on it may not be the best thing to do. And we'll talk to James a little bit about that coming up a little bit later, but kind of depends on the remodel. Declutter, fixing or replacing anything not working, some curb appeal, landscaping, and staging are some of the best options when you know that you have a plan to sell. Now, if you have tattered, stained shag carpet throughout the house or purple walls, I will definitely suggest that you install new carpet and paint a neutral color. Remodeling on a smaller scale can definitely be suggested if there are areas of safety concerns. For examples, we deal a lot with decks, which I often see, steps to the water, steps to the dock, or landscaping blocks, landscaping issues. These things are a must to be done prior to listing, really to ensure you bring top dollar in the price point and sell faster. Taking a kitchen or a bath that is dated to new to sell it may or may not be the best option, of course, in my opinion, and we'll talk to the expert later, but this is where circumstance and situation arise. If you're not savvy on the cost and or know your potential market value increase ahead of time, you could potentially not come out on top and lose money. I always suggest discussing these numbers with an expert in both fields. Now, I'm not saying it's always a loss or should never be done. There are many times when painting cabinets, updating hardware, and countertops can be done at a minimal cost to the seller and will, in fact, greatly impact the sale of the home in a positive financial direction. So when it comes to remodeling for a seller, it's truly case-by-case scenario. Installing a product not appealing to the majority of current buyers can be time and money wasted, or bringing light to, literally brightening a dark, dingy bathroom can set your home apart from others on the market. So educating yourself, the seller, on the market value, cost of remodel, and current trends is truly the best advice I can give as on a seller's side. On the buying side, of course, is where we get most of the questions, and most of our questions lie, and almost the brunt of this topic for today's show is going to lay with the buyers. With less inventory on the market, combined with lack of lake frontage left, buyers are many times left with the options of homes that were built between 1970 and 1990 in a lot of cases and have not been updated or touched since then at all. Other issues we see, especially in homes built in that era, are non-functional floor plans, not enough outdoor space, or another common is no garage or not enough garage at all. Now, I realize not every buyer is in the mood or mindset for a major renovation, but I want buyers listening to at least start to consider all of your options when trying to find, or in this case, make your lake dream home. We always start with defining lifestyle requirements. When beginning your search for a lake home, what is most important to your family? Sunrise, sunset, cove location, or a huge view? Do you like to go out on the water for your meals? Or do you want a quiet cove where you can just barbecue on the dock? That's really when we get into what we have at Lakefront Living Realty is a lifestyle checklist to take you through these checkpoints. I've got 7 on the top of my head that I know of that we take each buyer through that I'll share with you today. We talk about what type of lake, first of all, do you desire? As you know, Lakefront Living Realty is a national company where we're covering just under 1,600 lakes across the nation. So defining what type of lake that you actually desire to live on is the very first question that we're going to talk about, and offering different lakes in the state of Missouri as well. But if you choose Lake of the Ozarks, then we're going to go into what amenities are important to you. Number 3, what type of home are you buying? This is also important and can come in different stages. Are you buying a home for a second home, or is this going to be a full-time home? So we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, I want to continue going over the Lakefront Living Realty lifestyle checklist. And stay tuned, because we've got James O'Neill with Otto Construction in the studio to answer some remodel and addition questions. So stay with us. We'll be on Lakefront Living Radio Show on News Talk KRMS. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Haley Glover, Realtor and Lakefront Specialist with Lakefront Living Realty at Lake of the Ozarks. You can find me at lakefrontliving.com, call 913-638-7798, or email me directly at Haley, Haley, at lakefrontliving.com.
They're back. Thanks for listening to the Lakefront Living Realty radio show on News Talk KRMS. Here once again is owner, broker, realtor Annie Faulstich and her guests.
Hi, I'm Stacy O'Neill, realtor and lakefront specialist with Lakefront Living Realty at Lake of the Ozarks. Call or email me directly to put my love for the lakefront lifestyle to work for you. Call 573-745-0946.
Welcome back to Lakefront Living Real Estate Show, your trusted guide to buying or selling property at Lake of the Ozarks, where every day is a lake day. Again, I'm Annie Faulstich, owner broker of Lakefront Living Realty, Missouri's only exclusive lakefront lake access brokerage, where we're changing lives one lake house at a time. If you missed the first section, today we are talking about remodeling. Gave some tips for sellers and kind of talked about that controversial issue of how much does a seller remodel, and then the bulk of our show today is regarding buyers and about remodeling. I mentioned that, of course, not every buyer's in the mood or mindset for a major renovation, but I just want you, the listeners, to, maybe start to consider all of your options when you're trying to find that lakefront property or having a hard time finding that lakefront property. I left off discussing our Lakefront Living Realty checklist for defining your lifestyle. That's something that's really important, and I think that needs to be the first most center part of starting that process. So we had the first two tips. What type of lake do you desire? What amenities are important to you? Left off on number 3, what type of home are you buying? And like I said, this could be even a transitional situation, but are you buying this home for a second home, for a vacation, or for a full-time home? Because those can look very different. And keeping that in mind, too, as you're thinking about what this house is going to be for you possibly later. Many of my clients are purchasing what is now their vacation or second home and looking for plans to eventually move into it full time or retire, relocate at some point in their life. So thinking ahead of the remodel addition ability for that lake home is going to be very important. Number 4, orientation of where the house is located in relation to the water. So that can be a multitude of different things. Cove location, main channel location, how many steps to the water, what kind of access do you have? We've got so many different abilities right now with elevators and trams. Those properties really have broadened for different types of abilities or properties that you're looking for. Lake access properties have really become much larger in our market, with so many people deciding to relocate to Lake of the Ozarks full time. Number 5, what lake activities are high on your list? What are you looking to do on the water? Are you wanting to fish? Do you want to be in an area where it's conducive to be fishing, not just in the early morning hours on the weekend, but, have the ability to safely get out on your fishing boat, bass boat, throughout the weekend, all weekend long? Are you wanting to ski, tube, take the kids out? Do you want to be close to restaurants, nightlife? Really, what lake activities are you looking for? in your lakefront home. Number 6, again, kind of back to that relation to the water. Do you require a direct lakefront? Like I said, we've been seeing a huge increase in lake access properties becoming popular for buyers as we see more and more people moving here full time to retire and or relocate with the ability to work from home, which kind of moves into my number 7, which was tech requirements. That's something now, again, because we see so many people moving here full time, that we've seen a lot of interest in. But obviously, working from home is going to require you to have high-speed internet. They want cable, and or access to certain amenities. But that tech requirement in the past used to be really a big issue because we only had small pockets of areas around the lake that would allow you, the homeowner, to have high tech or high speed internet. Now, thankfully, that is starting to change and becoming more of a broad option. But these are all things to decide and may not be able to be changed or altered on a property. Those situations, for most cases, a dock can be changed. A 3-bedroom can be changed to a 4-bedroom. Now, I know this is broad and does not fit into all homes, but I'm trying to just get you to think about the process of finding the perfect lake home. Sometimes it is more about finding the perfect location and access or view and altering the things that you can change. Of course, it will be with the help of your lakefront specialist to assist you in determining any zoning regulations for a specific piece of property. As we know, Lake of the Ozarks covers several counties and cities. But this is exactly why I've asked James O'Neill with Otto Construction to join us today to answer some of the questions buyers have in regards to remodeling the lake home that they purchase. Otto Construction has been at Lake of the Ozarks since 1991, and they have a real niche for quality, large-scale remodels and additions. James, welcome to the show.
Thanks. Happy to be here.
You've been in the studio now, listening to me blabber on about buyers and sellers. So let me start with sellers. In your experience, have you worked with any sellers wanting to update their home or come to you that say that they're wanting to sell their house and look to you to remodel something before they list it?
Usually I don't have a lot of people coming to me before they sell a house because what they're really after is sweat equity. They need to do something to their house that's not going to cost them a lot of equity in their house to obtain. That means they're probably going to have to self-perform a lot of that work. Usually the buyers that, the people that I get are the buyers that see the potential of a house and they want to make it their own.
Yeah, and so you do agree with that. I referenced it earlier in the show, and I probably should have chatted with you before talking about that earlier. But that is exactly my opinion as well. And most of the time with the sellers, again, unless we see safety issues, go to a seller and maybe they have decks that are falling off or some bad landscaping or unsafe stairs.
Decks are a huge problem.
Yeah.
They're really, around the lake, I think every deck needs to be inspected. As much bad construction as I've seen on decks and the safety issues of stairways, I really think that they need to take a look at that. Inspectors, of course, will name it out on the inspection report, but it's just a good idea to make sure that there's no rotten wood, that flashing is in place. If the flashing isn't in place, it can affect water getting into the house that could cause mold. There's more to it than just structural. There could be a hazard to your health because of that. Yeah.
So sellers listening, those are good tools, and I agree with that. Having a lakefront specialist out and or, calling James with Otto Construction to come out and take a look at your property prior to listing it for those safety issues, those are definitely things I truly believe putting your money into will come back out tenfold when selling, because you're not only going to be able to sell at a higher price, but you're going to sell much faster. People aren't going to have that concern when walking through the house. So those are big issues. Other than that, I agree with your, kind of sweat equity. Mm-hmm. Maybe freshening up a little bit of paint, flooring if needed. But truly, it's just about having a clean, well-maintained property. I think putting too much money into your listing that you're getting ready to sell up front may make it a little bit challenging to get your money back out.
Oh, yeah, exactly. I mean, when I talk to people, I ask them, what are they doing this for? Or who are you doing this for? Because sometimes when they're trying to sell a house, you've got to understand, is this for me or is this for the new people? Because the new people may not be of my taste. They may not like this color. They may not like this design. So really just keep it generic, keep it with potential that they can do whatever they want after they buy the house.
Yeah, that's the good point. I mean, putting money into and potentially higher product that not everybody is going to like. So on the listing side, for you sellers, get with a lakefront specialist, get with a contractor, see what your options are. Somebody that is in tune with today's market to know what are going to be the most profitable projects for you to take on prior to listing and what projects you can stay away from and save some money. So want to move kind of onto our focus of buyers, in which I know cover the majority of your business. So, you know, whether buying new or they have owned their home for many years and is no longer fitting their family or their lifestyle, I know that's probably the majority of the clientele that you take on?
Oh, yeah. I would say that people moving down here full-time don't understand the need for the garage and the storage space, the need for expansion. And, until you really start living somewhere, you don't think about it until you're there.
Yeah. Well, that music means with that cue that we'll take a short break. Whenever we come back, we'll be talking with James O'Neill and Otto Construction and talking about buyers, remodeling, additions. So stay tuned with us at Lakefront Living Radio Show on News Talk, KRMS, or you can find us anytime at lakefrontliving.com. We'll be right back.
They're back. Thanks for listening to the Lakefront Living Realty radio show on News Talk KRMS. Here once again is owner, broker, realtor Annie Faulstich and her guests.
Welcome back to Lakefront Living Real Estate Show, your trusted guide to buying or selling property at Lake of the Ozarks, where every day is a lake day. Again, I'm Annie Faulstich, owner-broker of Lakefront Living Realty, Missouri's only exclusive lakefront lake access brokerage, where we're changing lives one lake house at a time. We are back talking about remodels and additions. So talking to both buyers and sellers, of course, always giving this directed to some real estate advice, whether you're looking to sell or buy your lakefront lake access property. Today we have James O'Neill with Otto Construction in the studio talking to us about remodel. Otto Construction has been at the lake for many years now, I think said since 1991, and really has a niche, I believe, also for that high-end remodel and addition. I mean, you all have a wonderful reputation for having the ability to take a smaller lake home and really make it into somebody's dream, somebody's lake home dream. So thanks so much for being here, James.
No problem.
We kind of left off, I just switched over to buyers, which I know you mentioned covers the majority of your business. Whether that's somebody coming to you directly, they just bought a brand new lake house, or, even coming to you prior to purchasing that lake house, which we see a lot in the real estate industry. We advise always, talking to a contractor, if that is in fact your thought process is, can this home be renovated? Or if the family has had this property in their family tree for many, many years, but now it's either dated or it's no longer fitting their family size or their lifestyle. So a few questions most commonly asked by my buyers. What should buyers look for when purchasing a lake home that they do intend to remodel? I mean, what are the key factors you think? I
think it can be summed up in one word, and that would be potential. You've got to understand what your boundaries are. You've got to know where is that property line? What are the setbacks? And the setbacks depend on what county am I in. If you're in Camden County, there's certain rules. If you're in Miller or Morgan County, there are fewer rules, but you still have to be aware of what your boundaries are for Ameren and for your neighbors that you have. As families grow, and I mean literally grow, the grandkids come along. You've got to look at, okay, I've got a 3-bedroom house. What happens when I need 4 or 5? How do I do that? Do I need a garage? Could we put a living space above the garage? Could I fit that on this lot? Then the question becomes, do I have a big enough septic field for 4, 5, 6 bedrooms? Because a lot of people will come up to me and say, well, I've only got 2 bathrooms in the whole house. We don't need that big of a septic field. Well,
so we may need you to come back. We're probably going to do a whole show on septic.
Man, is it?
I have a feeling.
Is that a subject or
no,
what?
No, it is. It's a subject. Sorry to interrupt you, but stay tuned because, listeners, we will, in fact, at some point have an entire show around septic.
Has that messed up a couple deals for you?
Well, it does, but that's as lakefront specialists. Those are one of the many checkpoints that we're involved with. Just like you said, the zoning, the setbacks. I mean, you have to know the potential up front, but then at that point, the buyer also has to have a slight idea of what their thoughts are or what they want the ability to do with the property.
Yeah, and another thing that's becoming a growing trend is outdoor living. And that doesn't just mean out on the deck. I mean, the decks are a big deal. People are updating their decks and remodeling decks, but the dock space. We have put in so many dock kitchens and bars lately. It's really becoming something that is a must-have for people because that's where they spend all their time. They don't want to run clear up to the house for the grill or for whatever it is that they want. It's all right there. We've got a lot of people that we work with to get the right kind of cabinetry because you can't just take wood cabinets and put them on the dock and expect that they're not going to swell and rot. And I mean, it's a high moisture content down there. So we've got the right kind of cabinetry. You've got to be mindful of how much weight you put on a dock. So the finishes that you use, and there are some restrictions as far as what Ameren will allow you to keep in a covered, enclosed area on a dock as well, and we can maximize that space with some design and some thought process.
Awesome. We actually have Brian Vance on the show next week from Ameren. So that's a question. I absolutely believe that outdoor living has become just as popular as indoor living now. So that's a huge part of the property when people are looking. When you all are doing that outdoor living, a lot of those decks may get close to Ameren lines, is even different than setbacks. The dock entertaining area, is that an area where you all work with Ameren? I mean, I obviously know you work with the different, counties and governing properties to get permits.
I typically let my friends at the dock company work with Ameren.
Okay.
I do.
Yeah.
I mean, they work with them on a daily basis. I work with them occasionally, not on a regular basis. So I let everyone kind of go in before me and determine the dock location and all the parameters that we need to stay within. Of course, I know what needs to happen on the dock itself.
On the dock, gotcha.
But when it comes to staying in boundaries on those things, I just leave that up to the dock guys.
Yeah, the dock. But within the dock, you all are obviously up to snuff then for Ameren codes and permits is what, in fact, that the homeowner can and cannot do on their dock, so they're not having to rip something out that they've paid for down the road.
Permitting is not a scary thing.
Yeah.
It's I know people look at it as more rules, but if we don't have some rules, if we don't have some guidelines, then we've got chaos. And some rules make good neighbors.
I agree. So tell me a little bit in more detail, what does your home remodel or addition process look like? And those may be different. I mean, you may want to break them down, home remodel or an addition, or maybe they're the same.
Sometimes they are the same. I'm working on a remodel right now that is basically a new house. The husband's dad built the house. they're going to be remodeling the whole house, but we are adding on another house to the house. So it's almost like a new house, but it's adding on to what's already there. So in that process, design is incredibly important. Understanding what their needs are, understanding how the rooms need to flow together, and the biggest part of it is making it look like it's always been there. So we don't want it to look like a house that was added on to a house. We want it to look like that has always looked like that, and it's designed to work together. I'll sit down with people and go through that kind of process with a drafting person. We'll get it on paper, get the lines on paper, and then we can talk about, after it's all designed and it flows like they want it to flow, we can talk about floor finishes, cabinet finishes, what color do you want on the walls, how big are the walls, how tall are the walls, what kind of windows do you want, what kind of siding are we talking about. There's a lot of things that go into a house, and that process can take a lot longer up front, but the nice thing about it is you get fewer change orders on the backside if you take a few weeks up front to make all of these decisions so that we know what we're bidding, we have confidence in the number that we're giving them, and it's a bid, not an estimate. The transparency that we use at Otto Construction would be that I give them the cost. If they're going into the flooring store or whatever store it is that they're going to, the price that retail person gives them is the same price that they're giving me, because they're giving them my discount as a contractor. And then at the bottom of the page, I put our overhead and profit. They know what I'm getting to keep the lights on, and everybody's happy at the end of the day.
So that upfront process is really most critical and most important.
Yeah.
So, I mean, depending on...
And it builds trust.
Yeah.
Yeah, and trust is a huge thing, because this is the most emotional buy that people are going to have. If you can't trust the person that is going to make this all happen and put this all together for you, I guess I don't know how you even do that. I don't know how you can't trust the person that's building the house. It's important for everybody to trust everybody in that whole process, and that's what I like about the design process.
Especially in a remodel and addition. I mean, there's just so much that goes into it, and so many decisions to make. So that process you said up front, how long does that usually take? It depends on the project.
Yeah, it does. It does. It probably is looking at about a 4 to 6 week process of just product selection and design.
Design decisions. Well, we will come back. We'll take a short break. When we come back, we're going to ask James the loaded question. I'm sure he's excited to answer. But,
oh, boy.
But that every client asks, how long will the project take? When will it be done? So when we come back, we're going to drill James a little bit further on home remodels and additions. But for now, we'll take a short break and be right back on Lakefront Living Realty Radio Show on News Talk KRMS, 1150 AM, 97.5 FM, and 103.3 FM, and now on HD at 93.5 FM. We'll be right back.
They're back. Thanks for listening to the Lakefront Living Realty Radio Show on News Talk KRMS. Here once again is owner, broker, realtor Annie Faulstich and her guests.
Welcome back to Lakefront Living Real Estate Show, your trusted guide to buying or selling property at Lake of the Ozarks, where every day is a lake day. Again, I'm Annie Faulstich, owner-broker of Lakefront Living Realty, Missouri's only exclusive lakefront lake access brokerage, where we're changing lives one lake house at a time. Today, we are talking about home remodels and additions. Really, both some tips for sellers, but of course, the bulk of the show's been about buyers and potentially finding the perfect lifestyle location for that lake home and turning it into your dream lake home. We have James O'Neill with Otto Construction with us today. He's been answering some questions and giving us some great advice on buying or purchasing that lake home that you intend to remodel. I left right before the break on the loaded question of how long does the project usually take? How long can somebody anticipate being in this construction process before their lake home is ready?
Well, I was Googling that over break. I don't know. And I think that is my answer. I don't know.
Yeah.
We do have a schedule, though. We have a start date and an end date in mind.
Okay.
Things happen, and it can happen with unforeseen type of things that come into construction, where it extends the construction process. Weather, if it rains for a month, which we've seen around here. I would say that the biggest thing is to just try to do a good job up front of knowing what is involved in the construction process and what is already there that we're going to have to deal with. Now, having said that, we're in the middle of one right now where I'm adding a story onto a house. We discovered after demo the house doesn't have footings. Now, to the novice out there that doesn't know what a footing is, it's what supports the house. You have to have one. You can't put a two-story house on cinder blocks that are just sitting on the ground. The ground, when it freezes and thaws, will move, and you need something to get below that frost line so it's a stable structure, so that the house isn't going to move and you don't have drywall cracks, and mainly so it doesn't fall over.
Tires on your car.
Yeah.
Okay. It's a big deal.
Yeah. Okay. So, when that kind of thing happens, it's, hey, time out, got to make a phone call. We're going to have a serious talk about this. And not the phone call that a homeowner wants to hear, but sometimes there's just no way you can know everything about a house until you actually get into it and start to understand how it is or wasn't built correctly.
Yeah. That kind of, it actually led into my next question about that. Like, how do you handle unforeseen issues? Is that something that you do see a lot of? Do you come across major unforeseen issues, or are you for the most part able to evaluate the home and know what you're up against on? Because that's the scary part of remodels and additions.
Mm-hmm. Well, I would offer this, that your boom for the buck is always in remodeling. I mean, you're going to come out better on remodeling square footage than you will on doing new construction, just because new construction costs involve all the infrastructure for a house. Mm-hmm. When you've already got a house there, you've got the well, you've got the septic, you've got all these other things in place already. But if we're moving some walls around and we're looking at the mechanicals of a house, we can know as much as we can know by looking on the surface what's going on, and we have a pretty good idea. But like I said, there are things below that you may not understand until you actually get there. Now, the process in that is called a change order. Mm-hmm. And when we do that, we always want to make sure that everybody understands what's involved. Again, I give them the cost of it plus my overhead and profit to do it, so it's very transparent. They understand that this isn't just like, yeah, that'll take $2,000 or yeah, that'll take $10,000. Well, what does that mean? I try to break things down so people understand what they're buying. And to further that trust element that I was telling you about as well. I don't know what else.
So we're kind of back to that time frame, which is the loaded question, and there is no answer, I'm sure. But it's the question that everybody asks, and it obviously depends on the project that you're doing. I mean, Are you just remodeling, the kitchen and a couple of the bathrooms and making the floor plan more functional, or are you, like your current project, adding a house onto a house? Mm-hmm. I mean, obviously that makes a difference, but do you see a range? Most of your projects running, 6 months to a year? Are you...
you're looking at like a kitchen remodel is going to disrupt the house. I would tell people this. Don't start thinking about your remodel in January if you want it done by Memorial Weekend. Mm-hmm. That's probably not when you start thinking about it. We need to be thinking about it now. I always say as summer starts to end that I'm out looking for snowbirds. I'm looking for people that are here during the warm months and they go somewhere else when it becomes winter, so that while they're gone, we can work on what we've already planned when they were here. Mm-hmm. It just works out better that way. That way we're not on such a time crunch. But I would say for like a kitchen, something like that, you're probably looking at about a 6 to 8 week process with everything involved. bathrooms are about the same. There's a lot of trades that come into that. You've got every mechanical in the house that's being affected. You've got cabinetry and all the finishes. It just takes time.
Yeah.
It's a small space, but it takes a lot of time in those areas.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate the work that you do up front with the clients so that they have that.
Well, it's really a testament to Tony Otto and how he runs his company. Because if you want to know what the owner's all about, you've got to talk to some of the employees. And I think that if you were to talk to, well, I mean, you're talking to me now, but if you talk to our supervisors that are out in the field and they run jobs every day, if you talk to the guys that have hands-on tools and they're building stuff, everybody wants to work for Tony. And we all want to pull this thing together to make it good for everybody, ourselves and the people that we're providing the service for. There's a three-way thing that has to work. It has to work for me. It has to work for who I work for, and it has to work for the people that I'm selling to. And if I can achieve all of those three things in every exchange that we have, every project that we have, then I've done my job, and it's a benefit to everybody.
Awesome. James, I really appreciate you being on the show today and taking the time out of your busy schedule. What's the best way for listeners to contact you and or Otto Construction? Well,
the office line is 573-693-3772. You can look us up on the web at ottoconstruction.biz, and I'll spell it. It's OTTO construction.biz.
Awesome. Yeah, it's a great website. They've got really nice pictures on there showcasing their work. So definitely check it out. James, thank you so much for being with us.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah. We truly believe every human being that strives to enrich their own lives and the lives of those around them should have the opportunity to experience, enjoy, and live the lakefront lifestyle, a purposeful step towards true happiness. So if you are just starting or have been in search of the perfect lake home for quite some time, maybe consider first your lifestyle requirements, then expand your price range or home parameters search to include lower priced or smaller homes that have the potential to remodel and make it into your dream home. I see this often for people relocating to the lake full-time. So many of our lake homes were designed and built to be summer places, so they lack the modern conveniences we desire in everyday life. They are not building any more lake frontage, so with the shortage, it may be a good option to consider a remodel or addition. Today's featured listing I want to talk about, the beautiful thing about Lake of the Ozarks is lake access is never usually more than 5 minutes away, especially in the heart of it all. Today I'm taking you to a custom property that is on the market for the first time ever, located only 2.4 miles from Hy-Vee, literally in the middle of Osage Beach. This custom estate home sits on just under 10 private acres. Pulling straight off the blacktop to private drive with beautiful landscape, you automatically feel like you are miles away from it all in your own world. This home has left no detail out and is better than new. Built custom in 2012 and maintained meticulously, the home now has mature landscaping and one of the best private outdoor entertaining areas with a built-in barbecue and fireplace. With 5,250 finished square feet, 4-bedroom, 5-bath, 4-car garage, plus an additional 600 square feet of storage, this home is an incredible deal at $595,000. As we discuss building today, there's no way you could come close to building this home with the acreage and location for this price. Always visit us on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram to get further videos and photos of our homes. This is high-end flooring, schrock, decor cabinetry throughout. So we always talk about selling a lifestyle at Lakefront Living Realty. Find the lifestyle you are wanting potentially by creating it with a vision or maybe having a home that is less than perfect. My family and I live and work to boat and enjoy all that Lake of the Ozarks has to offer. Real estate is my passion, so every day truly is a lake day. Stay tuned with us next week where we have Brian Vance with Ameren, Missouri, talking about permits. So find us at lakefrontliving.com and always at KRMS News Talk Radio.
Tell a friend or neighbor to join you to listen in next week for the Lakefront Living Realty Radio Show. Visit their website for more information, including current listings and agent contacts. LakefrontLiving.com. That's LakefrontLiving.com. Or give the office a call at 833-LK-FRONT. That's 553-7668. And join them next Saturday right here after the news at 11 a.m. on News Talk KRMS.